What Angela Cullen just said about Lewis Hamilton is incredible. But to actually understand why it matters, you need to know the full story first. Because this isn't a random comment from a random person. This is a decade-long bond, broken once, and rebuilt at the exact moment Hamilton needed it most. So who is Angela Cullen? Why does her voice carry so much weight in Hamilton's world? And what's really going on between them right now during this Formula One summer break? Stick with me, because this story has more twists than most people realize. Let's go back to the beginning. Angela Cullen is a physiotherapist from New Zealand who first stepped into the Formula One paddock alongside Lewis Hamilton back in 2016. For the next 7 years, she wasn't just his physio. She became one of the most recognizable figures in his inner circle, almost always by his side on race weekends, visible in the garage, on the grid, in victory celebrations. She was there for 4 of his 7 world championships. Anyone who followed Hamilton's Mercedes years remembers her face nearly as well as his own. Then, in early 2023, it ended. Suddenly. The news broke on the morning of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, just the second race of that season. Hamilton posted the announcement himself, writing that for 7 years, Cullen had been by his side, pushing him to be the best version of himself, and that he was a stronger athlete and a better person because of her. Cullen posted her own message that same morning, marking the moment with an emotional note about her journey in the sport and thanking the team. It was mutual, respectful, and completely unexpected to fans who had watched them work side by side for so long. For nearly 2 years, Cullen stepped away from Formula One entirely. She spent time working in IndyCar with driver Marcus Armstrong, a fellow New Zealander. She posted from mountains, from paragliding trips, from a completely different chapter of her life. And Hamilton, in interviews during that period, made clear the friendship hadn't disappeared, even though the professional partnership had. He said they still messaged nearly every day. So here's the real question that hung over that entire 2-year gap. Was that it? Was the door closed for good? Then came January 2025. Hamilton was preparing for the biggest transition of his career, leaving Mercedes, the team that built his legacy, for Ferrari, the team every driver dreams about. And right as that transition began, eagle-eyed fans noticed something strange. Cullen posted a photo of herself on a ski slope, wearing red, with a pieced marker in the background showing the number 44, Hamilton's race number. Fans immediately started speculating. Then Cullen deactivated her Instagram account entirely, which only fueled the rumors further. Something was clearly happening behind the scenes. Days later, it was confirmed. Angela Cullen was returning to Lewis Hamilton's side, this time for his first season at Ferrari. Hamilton later opened up about exactly why he wanted her back in his corner at this specific moment. He described their relationship simply, that they'd known each other a long time, gone through a lot together, and that having her back felt really exciting. He talked about the past month working together again as really awesome. Think about the timing of that decision. Of all the moments in his career to rebuild that partnership, Hamilton chose the single most uncertain, highest-pressure chapter of his career, a brand new team, a brand new car, a legacy on the line, and decided the person he needed beside him was the one who had helped build that legacy in the first place. That tells you something important about what Cullen actually represents in Hamilton's world. She isn't just someone who manages his physical conditioning. She's continuity. She's a direct link back to the version of himself that won 6 world championships. And bringing her into a completely unfamiliar environment at Ferrari wasn't just a physiotherapy decision, it was a psychological one. Now here's where the story gets current, and where that title actually comes from. Formula One enters a mandatory 2-week shutdown every summer, a rule that forces every driver, every mechanic, every member of every team to step completely away from the sport. No factory work, no testing, no debriefs. It's designed to prevent total burnout across an 11-month season that stretches from March all the way through December. Most drivers use it exactly the way you'd expect. Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Kimi Antonelli, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, all of them have been visibly relaxing, posting from vacations, enjoying the one real break they get all year. Lewis Hamilton did something different. While his rivals wound down, Hamilton posted a glimpse of an intense workout session to Instagram, making clear he wasn't treating the summer break as a pause button. And right there with him, driving that training, was Angela Cullen. At 41 years old, heading into the second half of a title-contending season with Ferrari, Hamilton made a deliberate choice to use his mandatory rest period to keep pushing physically, with the same person who has overseen his conditioning through the most successful stretch of his career. That's genuinely remarkable when you think about the context. This is a driver who, just 12 months earlier, endured the most statistically difficult season of his entire career at Ferrari, a season where he didn't record a single podium finish, a season where he publicly called himself useless after a disappointing qualifying session. Now, heading into round 2 of that redemption story, instead of resting on the momentum of Ferrari's 2026 turnaround, he's treating his summer break like just another training block. No days off from the mission. So what does this actually tell us? It tells us that whatever Angela Cullen is doing behind the scenes right now isn't ceremonial. It isn't just a friendly presence for the cameras. Hamilton is choosing deliberately to spend his rare mandatory downtime working with her at an age where most athletes in any sport are managing decline rather than chasing peaks. Fitness at 41 in a sport as physically brutal as Formula One, where drivers endure sustained G-forces, extreme heat, and races lasting nearly 2 hours, isn't optional. It's the difference between competing for a championship and simply hanging on. And this is where Cullen's role becomes so much bigger than the physio title suggests. Over nearly a decade of working together, on and off, she's become one of the few people who genuinely understands Hamilton's body, his mental rhythms, and what it actually takes to get him prepared. Not generically, but specifically, for him. That kind of institutional knowledge doesn't transfer easily to someone new. It's built through years of trial, adjustment, and trust. And in a career entering its final competitive chapters, that trust becomes more valuable, not less. Here's the part that makes this story genuinely compelling rather than just another paddock headline. Hamilton is currently second in the World Drivers' Championship, mathematically in title contention for the first time since 2021. The year he was famously denied the championship on the final lap of the final race. He has real ground to make up on the championship leaders heading into the second half of the season, starting with the Dutch Grand Prix. Every training session between now and December carries weight it wouldn't carry in a rebuilding year. Every physical marginal gain matters more when a championship is genuinely on the line. So when Hamilton chooses to spend his one guaranteed break of the year training intensely rather than resting, and chooses to do it specifically alongside Angela Cullen, that's not a small detail. That's a message. It says he believes this title fight is real, and he's not willing to leave anything to chance in his own physical preparation. Not 1 week, not even during the sport's mandated shutdown. There's also something worth sitting with about what this reunion represents on a human level. Cullen didn't have to come back. She had built a new chapter for herself in IndyCar, away from the pressure and scrutiny of Formula One's spotlight. Choosing to return, to step back into that intensity at the exact moment Hamilton needed continuity most, says as much about her loyalty as it does about anything Hamilton has said publicly. Some partnerships in professional sport are transactional. This one has survived a complete departure, 2 years apart, and a move to an entirely new team, and it still came back together stronger. So here's the real question worth asking. Is Angela Cullen simply doing her job as a physiotherapist, or has she become something closer to the emotional anchor of Hamilton's Ferrari chapter, the one constant thread connecting his most dominant years to whatever comes next? And as this championship fight intensifies over the second half of 2026, could this quiet, unglamorous story about summer break training end up being one of the most important factors in whether Hamilton actually gets to lift that elusive 8th title? Nobody can answer that with certainty yet. Championships aren't won in August training sessions. They're won on Sundays over the next several months under real pressure. But if history has taught us anything about Lewis Hamilton, it's that the small, disciplined choices behind the scenes are often exactly what separate a great season from a legendary one. And right now, at 41, with a title genuinely within reach, he's choosing discipline over rest, and choosing Angela Cullen to help him get there. So here's what I want to know from you. Do you think this kind of relentless, no days off mentality is exactly what Hamilton needs to finally win that eighth title with Ferrari? Or is there a real risk in pushing this hard during the one break the season actually gives him? Drop your take in the comments below. I read every single one, and I want to know where you stand. And if this video gave you the real story behind what's actually happening with Lewis Hamilton and Angela Cullen right now, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update as this championship fight heats up. Drop a like if you're rooting for Hamilton to complete this comeback, share it with another F1 fan who needs to see it, and I'll see you in the next one.